Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my talk show. Let's talk about with Richa. And today I have a very exciting guest with us. I'm so honored, Danny, that you're here with us. Danny Bermant, welcome to our show. And as I said, very excited to have you here because we're going to talk about something very different from what we have had before. Welcome, Danny, to this show. Could you tell my audience a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, so I started off my journey over 20 years ago. I used to build websites for clients, and it evolved. My business evolved from building websites to helping businesses to manage their social media marketing, and then I moved on to helping clients build sales funnels. But in my heart and soul, what really motivated me was joint ventures. And up till then, I was leveraging joint ventures as part of my marketing. So I've got to this day, I have clients that have come out of joint ventures from like 10 years ago, where I was doing joint webinars with, for example, there was a marketing expert where he talked about marketing strategy, and we talked about how to build a sales funnel. And through our joint webinar, we promoted it to our email list, he promoted it to his email list, and we ended up getting clients as a result of that. And there were also like in-person events that I was involved with, where you'd have businesses, who would basically invite their customers to the event, and other participants would invite their customers, and you got coverage, you got exposure to a lot of different people. But what happened is in 2021, I pivoted and basically decided to focus almost exclusively on joint ventures as the whole raison d'etre of my business, about helping businesses to grow through joint ventures. Between 2021, 2023, I was head of partnerships for Miracy. Miracy are basically they're a business that focus on helping coaches and consultants to grow their business through online courses. So it's using an online course to showcase your expertise, to increase your reach, and it's a great way to get people into your program. And then so they had a portfolio of 7 companies, and they were almost exclusively leveraging joint ventures as a way to get basically people onto their email list and buy into their programs. And 2023, I set up my own consultancy, and I've been doing that since then. I've been focusing purely on helping businesses to build joint ventures since then.
Okay, so explain it a little bit for us. What is joint ventures?
Yeah. A joint venture is a very loaded phrase because it can mean a lot of different things. A joint venture can be 2 businesses who basically decide to operate together, right? So a joint venture in the world of business, lots of airlines have joint ventures. You can fly to like if you fly from the UK to the States, right? American Airlines and British Airways have a joint venture, right? So you can jointly run a service. What I'm talking about is a marketing joint venture. So what that is basically is where two or more businesses decide we have customers that are in common, we have a product that's in common, right? Why don't we actually agree to strategically focus on promoting each other's services, because we are driving, we obviously have both have intimate relationships with our customers, and we can influence their behavior to actually go and use your services. And unlike advertising, these are people you have already have a warm relationship with. You can influence their behavior, and also unlike advertising, it's very granular. You've got really good data on who this audience is, what their buying behavior is, what their psychographics are. So it works really beautifully as a way to grow your business.
So what do you look for? Let's say, how do you advise 2 different, let's say, coaching companies to work together? What is it that you look for how do you see it's a good match or fit? What are the criteria for that often?
Well, the first thing is your audiences have to have a strong fit. And that means that you have to actually explore what is your partner's audience struggling with? What are they trying to achieve?
Okay.
right? So it may be that I am serving an audience who are relatively new business owners. They're in the first 3 years of their business. They're trying to get to $100,000 a year. They don't necessarily know how best to market their business,
Okay.
right? So that might be a really good example. So
Nice.
if there's another business that is kind of serving a similar demographic, that could work really, really well.
Mm.
But it might also be that, so that's the first thing. The second thing that's got to work is that you've got to complement each other.
Yeah.
So it may be that business A is helping their customers to develop a marketing strategy that guides their business on like what their offer is, what their messaging is, and then your partner may be more tactical. They may be helping your audience how to go onto Instagram, how to develop a really successful LinkedIn profile. So it may be, right, I'm teaching you marketing strategy, but I'm not going into the specifics of how to set up a LinkedIn profile or
Mm.
how to make a successful sales call. So that
Mm.
I'm going to collaborate with other people who teach those tactics.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Very nice. So, how did you get started? You told us a little bit that you
Yeah.
already had. Okay, no, I'll just cut that one out. If somebody wants to get started with JV, how do they go about it?
So the place to start is to look around the people that are currently in your that you're currently kind of in contact with. So, for example, do you go to some kind of networking group, right? Are you part of a local business network where you are that there are other businesses there who have complementary products or services? I mean, for example, I used to go years and years ago. I used to go to an in-person networking group where, for example, there was a lawyer and there was a real estate agent and there was a lawyer, there was a real estate agent, and there was like a finance company, right? So people, when you're selling a property, you need a lawyer to negotiate the sale. You need a real estate agent to find property. You need someone who's in the finance space to help you get mortgages, right? So are there businesses that are in your networking space that
Mm,
you can work with? Also look at people who you're connected to,
mm,
right? Who are you currently working with? Who are the people? Look at, for example, look at your LinkedIn network. Who are the people that you know your LinkedIn network who are serving similar people to yourself? I would also ask around. I'd ask around people who are in your networking space.
mm,
Who are they collaborating with? Who are they working with?
mm.
Basically, there's some really, really basic things you can do with your own network.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that is where I'll get started. I would also just look at things like, are you on someone's email list, right? Are you getting? The way I some of the early joint ventures I did, I was on like email lists of various people, and I just reached out to them and said, I really like what you're doing. We'd be interested in collaborating with you. And even if they're not interested in collaborating, ask people, who do they know that you might,
Who could
where
be
else,
interested?
where do they meet their partners,
Mm,
right? Where do you go to meet people?
mm. Interesting. Interesting. I have a question. When it comes to, like you mentioned, email list.
Mm.
Do you think it would be a good fit if I want to do a joint venture with somebody? Um, do I look at their email list, contact list? I mean, how do I know that they are good, like their audience is good for me?
Well, you would look at the messaging if you're on someone's email list, you'd look at the sort of emails they send. So does it sound like they're calling out the people that you're working with?
Mm,
And is all the advice that they're giving, is all the stories that they're telling aimed at the people you're working with?
mm,
And then it's actually getting on a call with those people to ask them a bit more about their audience. But you need to go beyond the superficialities. So not just like, who do you serve? What problems are they experiencing? I would actually ask them specifically, like, can you tell me, the people who come onto your email list, when you talk to them, what do they tell you? Like, what are they telling you that they're struggling with?
mm,
Like, what problem language are they using when
mm,
when they speak to you? Right? What are they trying to solve? what is success for them? Like if I asked your audience, um, like 6 months after working with you, what does their life look like? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what
Mm.
that these are all things that will give you the information you need on whether there is a good kind of audience fit.
But another question, what can go wrong with joint ventures? I mean, do you have like things to look out for when you're trying out this amazing journey? I mean, it sounds amazing to be working
Yeah.
because as an entrepreneur, it could be a lonely journey. So I love
Yeah.
working with people. You know, it sounds very exciting for me. But are there
Yeah.
some red flags? Are there something I should look for when I'm trying
There
out
are
this?
there are things you should look for. I think when you meet someone, the things we've talked about so far is there an audience fit? Is there a product fit? But what about personality wise, right? Is this someone you feel comfortable working with?
Mm,
There are some people who are very transactional, and that may not be a good fit for you. Like when I say transactional, they straight away want to know what you can do for them.
yeah.
Like I've got to go straight into talking about themselves, and they say, I've got a summit coming up in 2 weeks' time. Can you promote it? Generally speaking, someone who is less transactional will be talking, their language will be more collaborative. Like, what can we do? And I'll be saying things like, let's look at what we can do to support each other. What can I do to help you? You know, they'll be using language which shows that they're more serious about collaborating. I think that's the first thing.
Mm,
I think the second, so it's understanding whether it's the right person. I think the second thing you need to look out for um, is there good signposting, and that's you as much as them. What I mean by signposting is if you decide to work with somebody, you have to um, be really, really clear, right? I have got a summit coming up on May the 16th, right? Can you promote? Yes, great. Okay. Do you know what dates you can support my summit?
okay.
And once you agree to work together, do you actually communicate in writing what's happening? And if you want someone to promote your summit and you're giving them like promotional assets, which means you're giving them graphics and you're giving them like text that they can use to promote you, right? Have you provided all that in plenty of time? Have
Mm,
you sent those people reminders? Bear in mind, not all the partners you work with are, and not everyone is very organized, all right? People fly off the seat of their pants. So you have got to be really, really, really helpful. You've got to help them to help you.
yeah.
And if you just leave it on autopilot, great, we agreed to work together, it's going to happen. No, it isn't. You know, you've got to make it really easy for people to support you. And I think the other thing is that when you give people clear signposting, they take you more seriously, and so they will respect your time and they will deliver for you.
Mm. Okay, so I want to ask you, what holds people back to just go for it?
What holds people back from joint ventures?
Mm-hmm.
I think people will say things like, well, my list is too small. I've got a really small email list. I've got 500 people on my email list. Who's going to want to collaborate with me?
Mm-hmm.
And or they'll say I've got 5,000 people on my email list. Who's going to want to collaborate with me if they've got 50,000 people on their list? And I think that's imposter syndrome. I think it's often you just feel that you're not going to be taken seriously by people. Partners are what I'm looking for ultimately is do you have buyers on your list? Are there people on your list who are engaged, who listen to what you have to say, who can buy from you? I've participated in launches where people have joined in a launch where they don't even have a list at all. They've literally gone out and talked to people on their LinkedIn network, or they've talked to their buyers and said, listen, my friend is running a launch. I think you should, I want to send you some information about this launch because I think that they're helping solve a problem that I think your audience will benefit from hearing about. So I think you should get over your like insecurity about people who've got a big list than yours. It may be if you've got a small list, like say you've got 100,000 people, you might want to initially work with people who've got a list size similar to you.
Mm,
But there are places where you can go to meet those people, right? There are a few things you can do. There are summits that you can participate in, like you go to
mm,
eventraptor.com, yeah, eventraptor.com. There are lots of summits there that you can take part in, where there isn't a minimum list size like obligation. You can take part in that summit, and when you promote that summit, without going into detail, what happens with a summit, it's an event that lots of people promote, and the promoters also get people coming onto their email list.
Mm.
So you're involved in the summit, you're one of the speakers at the summit, and the speakers, as a speaker, people who hear about you, they want to opt into your email list, or they want to sign up to your freebie. So take part in summits. Also, they're things like the joint venture directory, so jvdirectory.com,
Oh, okay.
where it's about $700 a year, I think, membership, but they've got listings of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of JV partners, some that will have a similar list size to you, or maybe slightly bigger list size to you. But there are lots of people you can meet on there that you can collaborate with. So don't be put off. Don't be put off. Also, a serious partner will be looking at a long-term relationship. So I have collaborated with people who've got a small list, but I know that they're growing their list, and it may be that that will promote them, and then as their list is growing, they will promote us in 6 months, a year from now.
Mm.
Also,
Mm.
there are other ways that you have leverage. So you might be that you promote someone who's got a much bigger list than you, promotes you, and you have leverage because you've got unique expertise that you can give them. So you can
Mm.
give them your time for free.
Mm.
You can do like a skill swap. They're promoting you, and in
Mm.
return, you're giving them consultancy time. Or it could be that they're promoting you, and in return, that they're referring them to some really good connections.
Mm.
It could be that so it could there's basically various different ways that you have leverage. You could also it could be also someone could promote you, and you could reciprocate by having them on your podcast, or invite or connect them to other podcast hosts.
Mm.
So don't
Mm.
you need to get out of this mentality of quid pro quo. You
Yeah.
give me three things, I'll give you three things. It's more about there's lots of ways that you can help each other.
Mm. Interesting. That's very interesting. I love that point, what you said, that doesn't matter how small or big your list is, if you can add value to them in other ways, it's more important to them. Maybe they don't need you to have a active list of thousands of people, but if you can promote them in other places where you have, spent your time, like me on social media and my podcast and so on, instead of my big list. Yeah, I love that. Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It
and,
makes
and
it
that's
much more accessible because, as you said, get out of your mind of, if they're giving me three things, I need to give them three things back, the
yeah,
same
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
also
really helps.
it's also that ultimately what people want to buy is, and I've seen product launches where one partner is promoting a launch and they've got tens of thousands of people on their list but no buyers,
Hmm.
and then someone else promotes and they have 500 people on their list, but they end up sending like two sales, end up generating a couple of sales.
Hmm.
Ultimately, that's going to count for more.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. Very interesting. I like that. JV isn't new in the sense for me, but like so structured, it's very, very new for me. I've always loved collaborating with people, but but could you give us some really good examples of where JVs have been successful
Yeah,
for your customers?
yeah, absolutely. I just want to reflect on what you just said. You are right. JVs are not new. They've always been around. It's human, it's human nature actually to want to help other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, to support each other. But somehow I think entrepreneurs tend to find the most difficult way to grow their business. Someone starts up a business, right? What's the obvious thing to do? It's the obvious thing to do is to go into your network and talk to the people who you've worked with before, you like and trust, right? They'll be only who too happy to help you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy. Right, what do we do instead? We go and hire some salespeople to make calls for us. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. We spend hundreds of hours on creating social media posts. Right? Now, there's nothing wrong with doing those things, but if you're starting up a business with no money, right, isn't the obvious thing to start off with by actually asking the people you know to help you?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't do that. So yeah, I'll give you a really good example. So here's a kind of working example. One of my clients, she runs a webinar once every 4 months, and what I do with this client is that I bring partners on board to promote her webinar. We get about 15 to 20 partners promoting. With partnerships, the key is not quantity, it's quality. So
Mm,
it's not about getting 100 people to promote your webinar. It's about finding people who've got a meaningful number of people on their email list
mm,
who are engaged, who would be interested in what you're selling.
mm,
Right? It's easy to find people to promote you. It's harder to find people who have an audience product fit, who've got a meaningfully sized audience that can support you.
mm.
So I typically get around 20 people to promote her live events. And the last one we got, she was running a webinar. We got 2,500 people who opted in to her webinar. We had about 500 people who showed up, and that was
Mm.
because the webinar software couldn't take more than the limit to the room was 500 people. And then out of the 500 people who attended, 1 in 5 bought her offer.
Oh,
She had a
wow.
front end offer on her webinar, which was $200. And out of the 500 people in the room, 102 people bought her front end offer. And then from there, people then who buy her front end offer are upsold into other programs that she runs, which she
Mm,
hired.
mm.
Right. So it's just think, I want you to compare, right, getting 2,500 really high quality buyers of those 500 buy. I just want you to think about what it would have cost to have done the same thing on Facebook, for example.
It's
Um,
not just about the cost. It feels impossible if you're not like big name, you know. It's
yeah.
it's not just about the cost. Okay, we can always cover the cost in some way, but
Yeah.
it feels impossible to have that kind of reach with social media, like digital marketing with
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think
paid
of Facebook,
ads, even in with organic ads or paid ad. It's like I've been in business for a very long time, and I started with Facebook ads very early.
yeah.
And when I used to run it all by myself, and even then, it wasn't easy to, when it was very cheap, to reach so many people to get into like into a registering for webinars or for courses. Feels almost impossible if you're not like a huge name
Yeah,
already.
yeah, there are exceptions. There are people who've dominated their niche,
Yeah,
who are known as the leader in their niche, who do very, very well on Facebook ads. But I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about most of
exactly.
the coaches and consultants I work with. The easiest way for them to get their ideal customers would be for a partnership. And actually the reason is it's if you think about when you set up paid social ads, you can feed in information about the audience to get the right people. But you're never going to be as granular as you can be with a partner, where you can say to a partner, I'm looking for people who are in this age group, right, who have these buyer characteristics, who are struggling with this problem, who use this language,
Mm,
right, when they're struggling with a problem. You just don't have that level of granularity with Facebook as you have with a partner that you can talk to and ask them
correct.
directly about who's on their email list.
Yeah, correct. Correct. And I think even if you are like huge name, you have a huge name, even those people, though, they also have partners. What I can
Yeah.
see after talking to you, it's easier for me to look at that they also have joint ventures with other people who promote their stuff. So it's
Yeah.
not like they're doing it all by themselves. It is because they have partners, that they are also able to reach more communities and more people. And as you said something very interesting. When you're running ads, you're specifically asking for this age group and so on. You have to make it very specific. But when you're working with partner who already vetted the audience,
Mm.
there might be some people outside of what you're seeking for, right? There might be younger people who are much more mature and want to have your content, and they're very active with your potential partner, and they will say, they might not be in your range, but they will still be a good fit for you. So it's easier, and a lot of the groundwork has already been done. So it seems to be a very interesting way. But it seems that you already work with this and you had success. But how do you define success? I want to ask you.
The definition of success is that you're attracting people who are coming onto your email list, and there's a that they're warm up. they're warmed up already, right? And that's the other major difference with from social paid social, is that the people who come are much warmer. All right, they're people who your partners have recommended. You know, they've said, "I know Danny. I've worked with him," and their audience listens to what they have to say.
Mm,
So they're coming to you. They're a lot more engaged and they're a lot warmer.
mm,
And the proof and the success is that you're seeing a meaningful percentage of those people converting into sales. You know,
mm,
you should typically with a partner with a partner who's a good fit, you should be seeing at least 1% of the people they send to you. That will depend also on how high or low ticket is, what you're selling is. But generally speaking, if they're the right fit, you
mm,
should be seeing at least 1% of the people who are coming onto your email list, right, buying into your program.
mm.
And that's a sign of that this is this is a good audience offer fit.
Yeah. So, last question. Do you have any good advice for those who want to, try out joint ventures? Any good advice how to get started? And I mean, you've given us a lot of advice now and a lot of information, but what is that one thing that if I want to start with it now, don't know where to start, don't have a big list, how do I get started? What is that one advice that you
Yeah,
could give?
sure. So firstly, uh, you have to have this is assuming you have a proven offer, right? You have to have something you need to have something you're saying that's proven, you know that people buy it, you know that people benefit from it. But having that in place, just think about people in your network who you like what they're doing and they complement your offer, and actually reach out to those people and say, like, how can we collaborate together? Even if you don't have an email list, what you could be doing is you could be cross promoting each other on LinkedIn. So you could be creating a LinkedIn event, right? And then you could be promoting that LinkedIn event to all the people in your LinkedIn network. But think about something small that you can do together. So it doesn't have to be I'm creating a product launch and I want 20 people to promote me. Think about there's one other person I'd like to work with. Why don't we co-host a webinar together?
Mm,
Right?
mm,
And let's see what problem can we help people solve in that webinar
mm,
together where we
mm.
complement each other, and then let's look at where our audiences are and how we can promote that.
Yeah,
Start with something like that. That's how, as I said, I've got customers I'm working with from 10 years ago, and it came off the back of us reaching out to someone who we really liked, and we did a joint webinar with him.
nice, nice. Thank you. Thank you so much, Danny.
My pleasure.
So how do we get in touch with you? And is there anywhere we can kind of join, like you, to get guidance from you for this journey?
Yeah, so if you go to www.captainjv.co, you'll find on there we have depending on the time of the year, there'll be different freebies and different webinars which we're promoting that you'll be able to opt into all around joint ventures.
Nice.
So just go directly to www.captainjv.co, and then the other thing that I'll put in the show notes is that I run if you are already doing joint ventures and you'd like to get much better results, I actually host a community called a joint venture collaboration community, which is basically a networking group where we meet monthly to train you on how to do successful joint ventures. We also have a monthly networking event where you get to meet your joint venture partners, and we'll put the information in the show notes if you'd like to find out more about that.
Yeah, we're going to share that in the caption of this video. And so remember to connect with Danny, and let's start this amazing joint venture journey together. I mean, I think we together can succeed much faster. And thank you, Danny, for your time, your advice, and your wisdom. I think this has been really, really interesting and very exciting, because this gives us a little bit more hope, and especially a little bit more insight in joint ventures, how easy it can be to grow faster. I love what you said, that it's nothing new. It's something that we've been doing it for ages. So why make it so hard? Why make business growth so hard when it can be easy and fun to work with together? So thank you again, Danny. And everybody, stay connected, connect with Danny. And until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself and to others.
Thank you. Bye.